Hi there, it's Kylie from Beginner to Van Gogh. Okay, I've got a really nice session for you today. We're going to start off doing a quick warm-up, working in the style of Alberto Giacometti. I've chosen him because he's quite expressive. He's very, very gestural, which kind of helps us when we're trying to work quickly. So we're going to do a very quick speed sketch in the style of Giacometti. Now please don't worry at this point, your portrait will not look realistic in 5 minutes. Alright, but the whole point of it is to get us all nicely warmed up, get those nice artistic muscles flowing, and start getting us looking at the portrait that we're drawing. Alright, Alberto Giacometti is a really lovely artist. He does quite a lot of elongated portraits. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with using some compressed charcoal, white chalk, black chalk. Basic chalks will work. You could use a wax crayon if you wanted to, onto black paper. You could also get some charcoal, smudge it into the paper and use a rubber to rub it out. Okay, those of you that have been to Beginner to Van Gogh sessions, you will understand what I mean by that. The whole point of this is I don't want you to be working on plain paper at all. I want you to try and work on something a bit darker. So if you want to get a tea bag and tea stain a piece of white paper so that you've got a different background, that works just as well too. If you don't have white chalks, you could use a white oil pastel. Alternatively, you could use a white pencil crayon onto the paper. You could also use a white gel pen, even Tipp-Ex. Okay, but we're going to be looking at the highlights. All right, so I've started off, all right, having a go at drawing this face here. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to use my compressed charcoal. All right, so I want you to start thinking about how to smudge, all right, your shading a little bit more with the face. I don't really want you to be thinking too much about proportion. If you can get it in proportion, that works incredibly well. All right, but at this point, 5 minutes, you're just looking for those highlights because we've spent a lot of time working on perfecting the features of the face, but we haven't really spent that much time on the skin. Okay, so I do want you to smudge, and if you look at my finger as I'm smudging, okay, with the highlights, I am not just smudging in one direction, I'm trying to smudge to create the flow of the face. Okay, I'm not going to spend ages demonstrating something today. Alright, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a black compressed charcoal. That's great. Okay, and I'm now going to start going through and starting to perfect, alright, the features of the face. Try and get a little bit more into proportion. Again, you can start smudging, alright, but please remember that this is supposed to be expressive. Alright, you can keep Giacometti's work in view as well. Alright, get some eyelashes in there. Okay, get some of the shadows in. Okay, please do work as quickly as you can. We want to try and get you nicely warmed up. Okay, so I'm just starting to pull a little bit of the darker into here to darken some of this white that I've just put in. Okay, so once you've done that and you're starting to perfect your work, it will start to look very much like this here. Alright, again, you're not going to get it absolutely perfect, so that's about five minutes working. Alright, and what I've done here, as you can see, I've started to really kind of work into it. Alright, trying to perfect parts of these the shadows here. Alright, and I'm trying to be, alright, as expressive as I possibly can. Alright, so even trying to replicate some of these marks. Okay, you can start working into it if you feel like it. Now, if you really do quite like this technique, alright, then please do feel free to spend a bit of time working into it. Alright, if you don't have chalks like mine, alright, then what you can do is you can use pencil crayon as well. Pencil, but just remember to use rubber to rub out those highlights, okay? So again, it's not going to look perfect, alright? It is probably going to look a little bit bigger than you would like, a little bit wider than you would like, but the whole point is to get you looking, alright, for those nice highlights, Okay, please don't worry about it being perfect. Alright, so, alright, that's the nice warm-up that you're going to do. Alright, now remember, as we've done with the blind drawing, I'm just giving my hands a wipe. As we've done with the blind drawing, you must keep your eye on the object at all times. Okay, now then, what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to move on. Your next step, okay, once you've had a nice little go at that warm-up, again, if you do really enjoy it, please don't feel that you have to move on. Alright, if you're enjoying something, just crack on with it, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a go at doing the freehand portraits. Okay, so what I've done is, on the computer, alright, I've taken this of my nephew, and taken this photo of my nephew, and what I've done is I've actually put the grid lines onto it using the computer. Alright, that's just my own personal preference. You can use a ruler, measure the top, measure the side, and then just draw your grid on. Okay. So, for example, okay, just to show you very quickly, you can work it out. Alright, that's about 18 centimetres, so each box is about 4.5 centimetres. Alright, and you measure it along and you draw your lines on there. Alright, make sure that you can see those lines. Alright, then what we do is we actually draw the lines into our sketchbooks. Alright, now often, I've done this as a kid quite a few times, alright, often what you do is when you do drawing a grid, so I've literally just transferred the exact measurements from this grid into my sketchbook. Alright, that's the easy bit. But what most people do, okay, is they draw the outlines, alright, of the portrait. They'll match where the mouth comes in comparison to each line, and they won't shade. What I want you to do is each square at a time, but I want you to shade. Okay, so I'll do a very, very quick demonstration. I know my hand is going to be covering this part of his face. So I will try my hardest so that you can see what I'm doing at the same time. Alright, so I'm going to look at where that comes in comparison to this line. Okay, and I know that that's about 5 millimeters. Okay, and I'm just going to match it in. So I've done the first two squares. You can see what I mean. I've not drawn any outlines. Alright, no lines at all. Alright, and that's what I really want you to focus on. So at the moment, I am just worrying about this square. Now you can do your squares a little bit smaller if you'd prefer. Okay, so start drawing my line in. I need, it's almost like dot to dot. I need to now match where that comes. So it's just under halfway. Okay, so that's about halfway, so it must be about there. Okay, and I'm just, for now, just going to draw a straight line. Now think about those geometric shapes. Alright, think about if I was going to draw a line there. Okay, is that shape there about right? Okay, so you can see, do I need to take that in just that little bit further? I think so. So that's how you're matching it up. Right, and again, you can check this shape here as well. How I may be giving him a bit too much of a fat cheek there. All right, and I'm now going to match up this one. Okay, so I'm just going to divide this shape. So I'm forgetting about this cheek here. I'm now going to divide that shape up. Now when it comes to about here. Okay, and I'm going to make sure, is that accurate? Okay, once I've done that, okay, finish off his nostril here, so I'm going to add that in as well. Alright, I need to make sure I'm matching it up as perfect as I can. And I'm just going to straighten it up so it makes it a bit easier for me to draw. Okay, and look in comparison, so even coming down this line here to where I think his lips might come, I need to make sure that the lips are equal, or are they at the same point as that one here. So we're always trying to match up each line. So therefore, it makes it a lot easier for me to see. Okay, and then again, You're looking for your triangles. Okay, I'm not going to carry on here because I don't know where it's going to come. All right, so looking at that, it's just done, oops, it's just under halfway. Just over halfway, depending on which way you're looking at it. Okay, and I'm now going to start shading. Okay, I'm going to be brave, and you need to be brave too. All right, it's hard, yes, it's stressful, because you think, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but you've just got to be confident with it. Okay, now I've put in a little bit of shading here, but I do feel that I maybe need to just get a little bit more of organisation in place here. So with that. Remember what I said about drawing the mouth? It is all about shading. Try not at this point to press too hard. Okay. But at the same time, you've got to try and be brave. So I'm going to look at where it comes in comparison to here. I'm conscious of time. But I also want to show you how it works. So I'll try and do it as fast as I can. Now once you've drawn and shaded out each square, that's when you can go back over and start thinking about you know, kind of blending all the face into one another. So I'm still just focusing on this square, not trying to worry too much about what else is going on. Match up the bottom of the lips with this. I need to double check where this is coming in. So I'm starting to move down, so I'm happy, yep. Now sometimes, even when I'm drawing, sometimes I think, oh, this isn't going my way, this is not going my way, you know, and I worry, and I worry that it's not looking right. You know, I mean, at the moment, those lips don't look right at all. You know, they don't look in proportion. But what you've got to do is you've just got to trust your instinct. It's when you start to overthink things that you start to worry about it. Okay, and that will come with quite, you know, a bit of practice. And what I don't want you to do is worry and think, oh, do you know, this isn't working, I'm not confident, I can't draw fake portraits, you know, I'm drawing them freehand. Okay, I don't want you to worry about stuff like that. I just want you to have a go, and if it's not in proportion this time, then it doesn't matter. Have another go. Don't be defeated by it. Don't worry about it. It is hard. Portraits are very, very hard, and we could spend an entire year working on portraits. Okay, now the reason why I'm doing this side of his cheek is just because I want to try and get a little bit of kind of three-dimensional quality to it, just in the hope that it does make these lips look a little bit better, because I'm confident with what I've done at the moment, but it's just kind of helping me build my confidence even more. Now I'm going to bring this shading in for his cheek a little bit. It's not finished, it's nowhere near finished. I need to get these lines out. I need to bring this shading up here. Okay. Again, look at how I'm holding the pencil and I'm building it up. Okay. I'm going to really try and be brave. So I'm going to look at where it comes in comparison to here. Making sure that I'm not doing too much dark because I'm shading. Because the thing is, you don't want to go too dark too soon. And courtesy of Anne finding that amazing electronic rubber, you can start to use a rubber to rub bits out. So a bit like that warm-up starter. Okay, that warm-up starter works quite well for you because you don't just have to have an imprint on your page. You can also rub out that imprint if it doesn't really work. Okay, so for now, I'm quite happy with those lips at the moment. However, I do need a rubber as I have pressed on a bit too hard in places. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to use a rubber. Probably could do the smaller one. Okay, and I'm just going to start rubbing out, subtracting some of those bits that maybe haven't gone as well as I would like them to have gone. All right, so constantly looking at what it is that I'm drawing. Again, that's where the warm-up comes in quite well. Okay, so there's a little bit in here that needs to be pulled in. All right, and I will spend now, all right, quite a lot of time perfecting these lips. All right, trying to make them nice and smooth where they should be smooth. All right, and I'll go back and forth with my pencil and my rubber, okay, to really work into them. So I'm going to start looking for that really subtle dark shading inside of his lips. And it's this attention to detail that makes the portrait what it is. Okay, so last week we drew a section of a little baby's face, and this week we're drawing sections of a small toddler's face. Okay, but each section is going to build it up into a full portrait. But the key is, what I want you to do is really focus on each section. All right, really focus on it. Get your shading in there. All right, you don't have to have it absolutely perfect, but I don't want you to think about any outlines. Okay, the outlines, you can put them in, of course, but then I want you to shade them in. I don't want you to move on to another square, all right, until you've got that section, all right, finished. All right, and then you can just take a bit of a breath, fresh air, and relax. All right, and think, you know, I've got it done. I can move on now. All right, the whole thing, once you've finished, all right, every single square, the whole section, all right, the whole portrait, sorry, can then be perfected even more. So that's where you can really work on little bits and rub out these lines and starting to pull the whole portrait together. Okay.